friends. The first official National Day of Mourning, or first official Thanksgiving, feasting in Massachusetts was proclaimed by Governor Winthrop and the Massachusetts Bay Colony in 1637. He did this to give thanks for the safe return of the men from the colony who had gone to what is now Mystic, Connecticut, to participate in the massacre of over 700 men, women, and children of the Pequot Nation. About the only true thing is that these pitiful European strangers would not have survived their first several years in New England, were it not for the aid of the Wampanoag people. What Native people got in return for this help was genocide, the theft of our lands, and never-ending repression. Another truth: the reason that the myth makers prefer to talk about the Pilgrims and not the earlier English-speaking colony in Jamestown is that in Jamestown the circumstances were so ugly to hold up as an effective national myth. For example, the white settlers in Jamestown turned to cannibalism to survive. Not a very nice story to tell your kids in school. And the Pilgrims did not find an empty land any more than Columbus discovered anything. Every inch of this land is Indian land.
That's right.
The Pilgrims, who did not even call themselves Pilgrims, did not come here seeking religious freedom. They already had that in Holland. They came here as part of a commercial venture. The Mayflower Compact was nothing more than a bunch of white men, women were pretty excluded by them, sticking together to ensure that they would get a return on their investment. They introduced sexism, racism, and a class system to these shores. And guess what? They did not even land at the sacred shrine down the hill called Plymouth Rock, which is a monument to racism and oppression, which we are proud to say we buried not once but twice in 1970 and again in 1995.
Yes.
Upon arriving, the Pilgrims opened my ancestors' graves and took as much as they could carry of our corn and bean supplies. Massasoit, the great sachem of the Wampanoag, knew of this, yet he and his people welcomed and befriended the settlers, saving them from extinction, little knowing how many Wampanoag and other Indians would be killed by their guns or dead from their diseases. Later, from the very harbor that we can see here, the pious Pilgrims sold my ancestors as slaves for 220 shillings each. Some would ask what we have gained by observing National Day of Mourning since 1970. The very fact that you are here is perhaps our greatest gain. People from the four directions, having seen through the Pilgrim myth, join us every year in the struggle to destroy that mythology. And there are two plaques erected by Plymouth, one on Coles Hill to honor National Day of Mourning, and another in Post Office Square honoring Metacom or King Philip. This was part of the agreement we signed with Plymouth in 1998. Those of us who were here in 1997 will never forget what happened to our peaceful march that year, when 25 of us were arrested. But after a powerful show of unity, demanding all charges be dropped, Plymouth was forced to drop the charges and erect the plaques. All right. Another thing I want to add, now there are at least 2 rocks in Plymouth that speak the truth. The placement of these plaques does not end the need for us to continue to come to Plymouth and speak the truth. We will do so as long as sports teams and schools continue to use racist team names and mascots.
Right.
We will continue to gather on this hill until the U.S. military and corporations stop polluting our mother, the earth. We will continue to stand here and protest until racism is made illegal. We will not stop until the oppression of our two-spirited sisters and brothers is a thing of the past. We will continue to come here and protest when homelessness is a thing of the past. When immigrants from Mexico, Central and South America are no longer targeted. When no person goes hungry or is left to die because they have little or no access to quality health care. And when union busting is a thing of the past. Until then, the struggle will continue. Now, that first first National Day of Mourning in 1970 was a powerful demonstration of Native unity. Today is a powerful demonstration of not only Native unity, but the unity of all people who want the truth to be told and want to see an end to the oppressive system brought to these shores by the Pilgrim invaders. Now, sadly, the conditions which prevailed in Indian country in 1970 still prevail today. In 1970, we demanded an end to the Bureau of Indian Affairs. It is still a demand today. Native nations do not need federal oversight to govern themselves.